Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Game Time here on a Monday night, 5:30 p.m. PT on the Game Time Sports Channel, brought to you by the Outlaw Nation. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha. Damn it! And I'm joined, as always, by the King of Swag himself, who's smarting a little bit this week after the games over the weekend. Winston A. Marshall, how are you, Winston?
I'm honestly just fine. The funny thing is, there's a couple things. When you're used to people being like, you still in, boys? Nah, Dak threw an interception. You let funny, but I don't like. I was serious when I said last year I'm done investing that kind of energy into this team. Like, do I still want them to win? Of course. If I won a Super Bowl, would I be out here with my tits out in the streets screaming from the top of the world? Of course. But I can't allow myself to get drawn into this same Lucy football trap over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah. I'm pulling for the team, but I don't care. Are you doing that on purpose? Are you trying to subliminally make me feel shitty about life or something? Like, I feel bad for them. But then the question becomes, is that the defensive unit as a whole? Because they seem to be the ones that keep doing this. Or is it that we just keep hiring ain't shit coordinators? Like, because everybody at first was like, oh, Zimmer's the truth.
Zimmer.
But I don't know. You let the Saints do this when Dennis Allen has proven that he's not that good. And yet somehow scored 40-plus points 2 weeks in a row. There's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on. But I genuinely just have other things to be concerned about. So, like, am I sad we lost? Sure. Do I care the way people want to get under my skin? I promise you I don't. So have fun. You can keep sending them if you want. You're really wasting your time.
This has been the most unusual start to an NFL season I've seen in some time, Winston. I mean, like, we thought the world made a little bit of sense after week 1. It makes no sense after week 2. So many head scratchers. There are 4 teams that are 2-0 that you can pick out a few of those and go like, how the hell is that happening on the NFC side and on the AFC side? So it's a really interesting time in the NFL that you can't right now. People are like, who's your Super Bowl prediction? I don't have to know. Maybe the Chiefs, maybe, but
I don't even put the Chiefs. We got to talk about a lot of injuries. Yeah, there's a lot of injuries, and they barely won that game. And I'm going to make an argument that they actually didn't.
2 games they barely won, that's for sure. But listen, we're going to do this thing, and we're on the Game Time channel, so we're not yet to 1,000 subscribers just yet, but would love it if you send in your Streamlabs. That's how we'll get support for the show. So send in your Streamlabs. You see the address right above Winston and I's heads, also in the description of the video, and pinned in the chat momentarily. But let's get into that first game here, man. Let's talk about it. Where's that damn thumbnail? Do I have it? I probably don't even have a thumbnail for it, for God's sakes. No, I probably don't. I thought I had a thumbnail for it. Here we go. Here it is. All right. It's Bengals and Chiefs. Look, it's a Monday night. There's the Eagles game going on. There it is. Bengals and Chiefs here. This was an interesting game here. Harrison Butker, noted lover of women, hit a 51-yarder.
Bitch, you ain't shit for that.
Harrison Butker drilled a 51-yarder as time expired. And by the way, with Taylor Swift celebrating, apparently doesn't have a problem with his words, and gave Kansas City a 26-25 victory. Patrick Mahomes only threw for 151 yards with 2 touchdowns, but had 2 interceptions. And there was a controversial, although not really controversial, 4th and 16 pass interference call. It was clear that the Cincinnati defender hit Rashee Rice as he was trying to catch that ball. Joe Burrow threw for 258 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to Andre Iosivas, as the Bengals came up empty against one of their biggest nemesis here, going 0-2 to start the season. Again, there were some notable moments here. Chamari Corner returned a fumble, 37 yards for a touchdown for the Chiefs, and big offensive tackle Wanya Morris, who had the penalty that nearly cost him the game in the final minute, had a touchdown reception on a day full of bizarre plays. Evan McPherson's 4th field goal gave the Bengals a 25-23 lead with 5:12 to go, and then the Chiefs eventually took out the Bengals here. But we also had Jamar Chase losing his mind on the sidelines and losing his mind in a ref and getting unsportsmanlike conduct. So what are your thoughts on this game with both of these teams? We've got injuries coming down with the Chiefs, but also the Bengals look like they're kind of quietly self-imploding here. What are your thoughts after this game, dude?
I would like for you to share this video for me really quickly, because this is what I mean by the Chiefs, in my opinion, did not win this game. So that pass interference is pass interference. I'm not denying that. That is the correct call.
Let's take a look at the videotape.
Oh, let me take the audio out. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Here is that same play. A blatant
holding. What is happening?
Blatant holding going on in that same play. So literally, as a number of people have been pointing out, those fouls would have offset. That's game over. That's what I mean by the Chiefs, in my opinion, did not win this. And this is not a conspiracy theory thing. This is the exact same play, and that is blatant holding going on over there.
Oof, look at that. Oh, man.
Pulling jerseys, all that. And it's just so, like, whether it's that the refs didn't see it or the refs just swallowed a whistle, that is blatant holding.
Yeah.
And so that is what I mean by this. And I think that there's something to be said. It's very early.
Sure.
For the season period. Cowboys could easily have seen what they just did and rectify their situation. The 49ers, with all the injuries, which we'll talk about, could potentially implode, but if they hold on, can rectify by the end. And then the Chiefs are another situation where you've got some injuries that are a problem. Hollywood Brown is probably out for the year with that surgery. Xavier Worthy is incredibly talented as far as speed goes, but he was already clocked by the Bengals that all he can do is run that deep ball. He's not very good with his route tree right now, so he's going to have to improve on that very quickly. But losing Pacheco for an undisclosed amount of time right now because he fractured his
it's saying 6 to 8 weeks according to ESPN that he might be out. But yes, go ahead, Winston. Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. Is like that is a situation where I would hold my breath about Pacheco coming back that fast. I know he's got NFL doctors and surgeries and money to go get his shit fixed. That's the same injury I had. So it just depends on what we're talking about as far as what they need to do. Is it so bad that if they don't have to do surgery? I've heard of people coming back that quickly from that. If after getting the second opinion, if he needs surgery, bro, I wasn't starting PT until a solid 3 to 3.5 months later. So like you might lose Pacheco essentially for the season. I don't know how quickly with somebody get that in shape he would lose it, but knowing you gotta get your quickness and agility back and all that, even the way he went down reminds me of how I broke my leg. So like I saw that and I was like, that's a problem. So much so it's funny you mentioned Harrison Butker, lover of women. You know who they called today, right? They went and called Kareem Hunt, also lover of women, so they can now tag team like double dragon, bro, and try and make this shit pop off. I am not saying that the Chiefs don't deserve the respect of figuring it out. They've clearly made it a business of even whether it's drop passes or injuries or brothers that are extremely distracting. They always figure out a way to make shit happen. But there is trouble on the horizon for them in this potential three-peat, especially when you throw in the fact that, like, I don't know if it's because Kelsey is distracted or older, or if they're just doubling him a lot more. You can't be out here in these streets averaging like 30 yards a game when you're the number one option, dude. I'm glad to see Rashee Rice is doing his thing. But yeah, Worthy's got to grow up really fast. I hope he's in that film room and running those routes with Rice and Patty on the off time. Kelsey got to show up, and then we got to see what they do with the running back position, because Pacheco is literally why Patty is able to do this. He cannot throw. He's made it very clear, not that he's not capable of doing it on a drive or a series of drives, but he cannot for the course of this year be the only. It's always on him. You have to have some sort of a running game to pull that pressure off, because it's the play actions that also help him a lot too.
Yeah, agreed. And this is going to be a fascinating situation. Look, it feels like the Bengals figured it out in their offense later on in the game, and certainly had it. They were in position to win this thing. And I mean, I don't know why you rush only 3 guys on a 4th and 16. Why aren't you swallowing up Patrick Mahomes? It's kind of weird situation to be in. But in the end, they got the pass interference, and it was a legitimate pass interference. But Cincinnati figured out a little bit of their motion offense, and maybe that's going to help things overall. Looking at the stats here, Cincinnati utilized motion on 43 of their 61 plays. That's insane. 70%, which is the highest under Zach Taylor ever. And they generated 6.2 yards per play using the motion. Without the motion, they only generated 2.9 yards per play. But it's the defense that is an issue for Cincinnati. The reason Cincinnati could have beaten Kansas City 2 years ago, or did beat, it was because of the defense. The defense was so well dialed in, so well on top of things, and you can tell there's already issues. They're starting out the season 0-2, but this doesn't feel like an 0-2, like, oh, it's just, that's a fluke. Yeah, it feels like, man, there's like real issues here on the defensive side of the ball because they're not able to hold these leads. And then Jamar losing his mind like he did on the field. Like, I don't understand that in a tight game. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me in a tight game to lose your mind like that. There's other things going on. There's other frustrations, the contract stuff. Maybe all of that is happening here. And then how good is Joe Burrow healed up from that wrist surgery? We don't know. So it's going to take some time.
I mean, look, man, the way he was balling, like let's call like we see it. Like, he actually was out here in these streets, 258 with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, he looks great. Right. So I'm not worried about that. I think he heard everybody being like, "Is Joe Burrow actually as good as we made him? Because he just went to the Super Bowl one time, but he's always hurt and he can't throw the ball." And he was like, "Bitch, what?" And like literally showed up to show you what he can do. And they're only going to get better when you get T back, and hopefully pay Chase. And I'm glad to see that Andre like stepped up. They needed him to, and he did.
Yeah.
For the short touchdowns, but I picked him up last minute and it may have just won me my week in fantasy, man.
Ooh,
But I tried not to stay in the comments while we're talking about something, but I knew Sean's ass was going to be running off at the mouth. So let me just go ahead and just address some things. I mean, the first thing is I am aware of different holding calls, false starts, et cetera, throughout the game. I am talking specifically at that play, which was the linchpin play of it. Those are offsetting penalties. Right. That's a complete difference, because I'll immediately go that Jamar Chase fucked up. I understand he was upset that he thought it was a hip drop tackle. It wasn't, and you decided to start saying obscenities to the ref who let the first one slide, and then you ran your mouth off and kept going while Joey was trying to get you to calm the fuck down, and you cost the fucking team. So if we really want to call it, it was too much lack of discipline on the Bengals that ultimately cost the game. But if we're saying that pass interference, that play was the deciding factor, those are offsetting penalties. That game was over. That's what I'm saying.
It's a fair point. That's a fair point.
And then his follow-up when he said, "Oh, it's not like they're not going to get better." Yes, because of who they are. I just said don't count the Chiefs out. Because of who they are, they're going to figure out a way to improve. But you just told me that this receiver that you really were trying to bank on was not around. Kelsey's not playing anywhere near his best.
No.
He looks either tired or distracted. I can't tell which, to be honest with you.
He looks fucked. That's what he looks like. So he looks like soft and tired. He's not running as hard. I think my man is laying out the screen.
I think KT got to get back on that Eras tour, bro.
Come on,
get back on that tour.
You don't weather style if you don't mean business. That's what I'm saying.
But Kelsey's not playing at his best. Yeah. This was actually, I saw the stat this morning. This is actually the worst passing game that Patty has had.
Yeah.
In a game that he was start to finish. Like, if he got knocked out for whatever reason, that's different. But this is the worst game that he's had start to finish as far as all of his numbers. He had 3 interceptions, one that they just called back off of what I can't remember what the penalty was.
Yeah.
But he registered 2. Like, this wasn't good. No. And I'm not saying that you need to sound the alarm. I'm just saying that, like, if the goal is to three-peat, these are the things the Chiefs need to look at to pull this off. You know what I'm saying? They need to address these issues, and losing Pacheco is a big one.
It's a massive one. Yeah. Let's take a look at some of these other non-calls here. Apparently, there was someone being tackled from behind there in one of these. It was hold calls. And then you're talking about what you were saying here. This situation
look at it. See, they pulling my guy. What are we talking about?
Here's the deal. Like, you can say, "Oh, he's away from the ball." No, he's in the trajectory where Mahomes is going. So, like, if you hold him just that little bit, and you can see that it's a hold. And the thing is, Sean is not claiming that it's not a hold. And it's very clear that Sean is saying, well, they were other holds. So you are admitting that this was a hold, Sean.
In which case, those are offsetting penalties. That's what I'm saying. And therefore, your dropped pass, I think you have to replay the down.
You replay the down. If nothing else, you replay the down for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So it's crazy to take a look at these kinds of things that the Chiefs get away with. At least an assistant coach did not call a timeout on this one. So, So, I mean, it's just a madness in what you see happening in this. But you know what I'm saying? This is what the great teams do, though. They overcome this stuff. They get the lucky breaks. They get the victories. They are one toe away from possibly losing last week, and then 1 4th and 16 play away from losing this week. So they could have started 0-2, but they got the victories, and that's what counts. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting season. I thought the Chiefs looked good last week. I was like, oh, they're ready, but they were ripe for the picking against the Bengals, and the Bengals talked all kinds of shit before the game, bulletin board material, and they backed it up. Almost
They backed it up, man, and that's why. Did you see Joey B's post press conference?
No. What did he say?
They were like, "So how does this feel, man? You're the only quarterback that really seems to get under Patrick Mahomes' skin. This would have put you. I think this now makes him 4-2 against Patrick." And he was just like, "What? How do you feel about that and being 0-2?" And he's like, "You're gonna have to come back to me on Wednesday for me to answer that question." He's like, I have feelings, but I need to process them. And I think that that's also pretty mature of him to be able to understand he's clearly pissed, probably about a number of different things, knowing that he balled out the way that he is supposed to. He silenced his critics, all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't enough because of other people's ineptitudes. Like that is very mature of him to do that. And then he'll come, if they do ask him again on Wednesday, he'll probably be like, look, I balled out. I can ball out more. Yeah. We just got to do more. That's just that is what it is. You know what I mean? So
the Chiefs they'll love the challenges. So we'll see how they respond to this kind of stuff.
Last thing I'll tell Sean, because he loves to say, still got that dub. You know who was saying that all last year? Eagles fans. And how did that work out for him?
There we go. I'm done with the blood feud. It seems like Winston.
It's not a blood feud. I already said that I thought it'd be super fucking dope to see a three-peat happen, and especially I like Patrick Mahomes. So, like, you do all that, I'm actually here for it. But at the same time, I'm gonna call it like I see it, and these injuries are gonna be a problem. What, like, are you trying to say that we don't need Hollywood Brown, we don't need Pacheco, and whatever, Worthy will figure it out? Is that what you're saying? Because those sound like pretty major issues.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's move on to the next game here. Speaking of major issues, let's deal with it. It is the Saints here dispatching the Cowboys 44-19, ending the Cowboys' 16-game home win streak in the regular season, because the last time we saw them in their own stadium, they were getting beat by the Packers. They're 48-32, but this one was 44-19. Carr threw for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns and scored once on a 1-yard sneak. And the Saints got touchdowns on their first 6 drives a week after setting a franchise record by starting the season with points on 9 consecutive possessions in their 47-10 rout of Carolina. The week after holding Cleveland to 54 yards and 1 first down before halftime, Dallas gave up 2 touchdown passes longer than that before the break. Raheed Shaheed, who I just picked up in fantasy, a 70-yard touchdown catch there on a perfect throw. And then Kamara had a catch and run that started from that line of scrimmage. The Saints kicked 4 field goals and finished with 432 yards of offense and scored at least 40 points in consecutive games for the first time since 2018, when Sean Payton was the coach and Drew Brees was the starter. So, your Cowboys, Prescott was 27 of 39 for 293 yards. This was a tough loss, man. This was an absolute whipping from the beginning to end. So, I mean, Jerry even looked all pissed off in the skybox there. So, are the Saints for real, and are the Cowboys in trouble? What are your thoughts here, Winston?
I think that the Saints have the potential to be.
Yeah.
The question is, how long does Carr keep this up? Carr has a pattern of starting kind of hot and then self-destructing. So the first question is, how does Carr hold up? Just being real. Yeah. The second thing, as far as being like a super bad sign for the Cowboys, a blowout is never a good sign.
Right.
But watching that game, and which is why I was a little bit calm, and a little mad.
Well, of course.
Playing these games of, am I going to pay Dak? Am I not going to pay Dak? Am I going to pay CD? Am I not going to pay? If you had actually spent the time getting them their money, you could have gone and fixed the run defense problem. I know how awesome our defense was this year, but it was exposed by every game we lost that if you have a solid running game, or a solid, even just like kind of out, like just like a flat running back that can catch shit like that, game over. That's why we got abused. We got abused by the San Francisco 49ers when we played them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Any team that had a solid running game did what they wanted to us. And so, especially in this particular situation where you had Kamara going off for 115 on the ground
and 3 touchdowns
on the ground, because you had all of a sudden to deal with that, you over adjusted, and then you allowed a bunch to happen through the air as well. Yeah. So like, I am mad at the Cowboys, and where they need to figure their shit out is you did not solve your running defense problem.
Yeah.
You allowed it to just sit there. You pretended like that wasn't the major issue, because even those 2 interceptions with Dak, one of them was 1,000% not his fault.
Yeah.
One of them, you saw the receiver literally start to turn and go, and he slipped, and it went straight into the defender's hand because the guy was not there. That was a perfectly timed throw, and that's why you saw Dak go, and when they replay, are you fucking kidding me? Like, he was screaming that. Yeah. Like when they did the slow-mo camera to him, they had like to pan the camera like up real quick so you couldn't see his lips. Like, that's the whole thing. The fact that you did not address the real problem, and I'll be real with you, Micah is still a beast, but if he doesn't find a way to help with this run defense, not all on him, but you want this mega contract to be like the centerpiece, bro, you got to Von Miller would find a way.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald would find a way. You're trying to put yourself in their category. TJ Watt would find a fucking way. Yeah. And whether it's getting in his teammates' ass or finding another way to be effective on run defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is who the Cowboys are, man. And it's under McCarthy. It's absolutely a McCarthy special. This is who he is. This is what he is. It is the fool you one week and then absolutely shit the bed the next week. It is absolutely what the Cowboys are. Their defense has not gotten any better. They got rid of Dan Quinn, and what's his face stepped in here. Not a better defense. It's still in the same situation it was, still making the same mistakes they did last year, and that's an issue. Dak and CD are great, but I mean, this one got out of hand so quickly that there was nothing they could really do in the long run when the Saints are already, who have a good defense, are no, you're going to throw the ball all the time. And so it's just at the end, it just couldn't get the job done, and allowing them to score and giving Kamara 3 touchdowns, for God's sakes. I mean, it just is a bad look all around for Dallas. So I wonder if there's a little bit of a hangover from last week and they were feeling themselves a little bit, and then it got brought down to earth. So it'll be curious to see what happens going forward, and because we're tied. I mean, we're tied with Dallas for first place.
I'm glad you're happy. That's good for you. We might end up losing it if the Eagles beat up on an Atlanta team. I don't expect to hold them, so we'll see what happens. But I think the other thing that I just want to like call attention to, I see some people saying Carr is for real. I don't believe that.
It's only 2 games. Slow down, guys.
2 games, and when you watch him these other seasons, there's a reason why Las Vegas moved on from him. Other than Las Vegas being a little bit of a dumpster fire at times, there's a reason why they let him go, and there's a reason why most Saints fans I know can't stand him and want Rattler in there. Now, if he has somehow shaken his bullshit and really is finally like it's time, by all means, good for Derek Carr. But he has shown the ability to be the hotness 1 minute and go on a nice little 3 or 4 game streak, and then fully self-destruct for weeks on end to the point where a lot of his teammates were ready to be done with him last year. So again, if he's turned the corner, I'm actually happy for him. I don't want to see him suffer. Like, nobody wants to see somebody suffer except for maybe Deshaun Watson. So by all means, great. But I believe that once Carr has shown me consistently that this is who he is now.
Right. Yeah, because right now he is averaging a insane 11.4 yards per pass attempt over these 2 weeks. That is insane. He leads the nearest quarterback by 2 full yards. I think Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for the Saints, deserves a lot of credit focusing on the run. It's no shock that Alvin Kamara has become a bigger force again over these last 2 games, because they've been focusing on building the offense around the run game. And so this has released the pressure on Carr. He's only been pressured 7 times total through 2 weeks of NFL football. That's insane. And he's averaging 20.7 yards per dropback when he is pressured, with those 2 deep touchdowns he's thrown over the last couple of weeks as well. So this is an interesting Carr that we're seeing right now. But like you said, it's only 2 weeks, and we will see as the games get, and as people get more footage on Clint Kubiak's schemes and offensive play calling,
Right.
that's when things are going to tighten up later on.
That'll get interesting. And I think the other thing that cannot be ignored as well is that losing our true second option in Ferguson clearly showed.
Yeah.
I know Cooks is out there, Tolbert is stepping up, but losing that security blanket right there in the middle does take clearly something away from it. So, hoping when he gets better that the offense looks a little more balanced again.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man. I don't want the Saints to be bad. They're my favorite team out of the NFC South. They're probably my second favorite team in football. I know you're supposed to have one in each conference if you're going to do that, but just with my, with my two best friends being diehard Saints fans, I've just been a part of that culture. Like we've done a lot of tailgates. I'm actually really glad that both of them, like, I don't want to go to that bullshit at Jerry World, expensive deal with all that shit. I was like, yo, it'll be fun. Like, with tailgate, how the Saints fans be coming in the buses and shit. They'll be second line. Nah, I ain't doing all that. And of course, we get to the end of the second quarter. Damn, we should have gone to this motherfucking game. I was like, bro, F y'all. I hate both of you. It's week 2. It's hard to make a lot of claims. I am going off of history here. You didn't fix the run defense, Dallas, and I got to see what Carr looks like over the course of like a bigger example.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sample size.
I think the next 4 weeks are going to show us because they're playing the Eagles at home. Then they're at Atlanta, which will be a victory. But then they're at Kansas City, and then they have the Buccaneers at home.
Not you already saying with Atlanta up right now.
It's a nice run for the next 4. Well, Atlanta, come on. There's the next 4 weeks is going to be real interesting to see where they're at. Because then they get the Broncos, which will be easy, and then the Chargers, which might be tough by the time they play. Go ahead. Yeah. What were you saying?
Dude, your former starting quarterback, your second QB taken in the same draft, man. He already got him a field goal. They up by a field goal.
I got a needle for him. I'll give him a vaccination.
All
right. Anyway. Let's move on to a Gardner Minshew. Hey, man, he rallied the Raiders past the Ravens. The Ravens are 0-2 here, 26-23 with 3 fourth-quarter scoring drives. That's insane to me. Daniel Carlson kicking the go-ahead 38-yard field goal with 7 seconds left, and they rallied to beat the Ravens. The Ravens look like they had this in hand. They were up 23-13 at home in the fourth quarter with 12 minutes left against an Antonio Pierce coached Raiders team. And they could not, and against Gardner Minshew, and they could not keep the lead throughout and couldn't score any more points. And in the end, lost this thing 26-23. This is shocking on so many levels. Lamar Jackson was 21 of 34 for 247 yards, but he only had 20 yards rushing after 122 yards last week. Derrick Henry had 84 yards and a touchdown. But this came down to the defense giving up scoring drives to the Raiders to put them in a position to win the game, and Lamar not being able to do it at the end. This is 2 weeks in a row now, bro. I mean, they're giving up leads. They're surrendering. They're having issues trying to close out games. There's got to be questions asked about what's going on in here in Baltimore, man, because this is not looking good. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch this game this weekend, so I can't take as much like what is my eye telling me. I would say, again, it's early.
Yeah.
You still have a lot of firepower, and like Mark Andrews looked more like Mark Andrews again. Zay Flowers actually got really involved this time. Derrick Henry, 84 yards and a touchdown. Like overall, these are the types of numbers that you're like, okay, you're riding the ship a little bit. Y'all look a little bit more up to form as you would be one way or the other. Right. But based off of these numbers and not just watching with my eyes, this feels a lot of like what just happened with the Bengals. You know what I'm saying? They're not an 0-2 where you're like, they're trash. They're an 0-2 being like, damn. Y'all are right there. Like, damn. And to somebody saying Carr wasn't the problem in Vegas, I understand that, but he did get shipped off. And on top of that, he hasn't been the best in New Orleans. The number of times he's missed wide open red zone TDs. Again, with them being my second favorite team, I remember what Carr does down there. So we're already past the New Orleans conversation, but Carr needs to show consistency now again, the way he did when he was younger in Vegas. But
Yeah,
I digress. As far as the rest of this goes, I'm glad Devontae Adams got to get in the mix. I'm sure he's probably still not super excited about the whole situation there, but I'm sure he's happy with the takeaway victory.
Yeah.
They're going to need to stack as many of those, like steal as many of those as they can, because even with the drama we discussed about the Chiefs still run the AFC West.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to get as many victories as you possibly can, because right now, shit, man, I can't believe I'm saying this. The Chargers look like the team to beat in the AFC West right now.
It's been only 2 weeks, but yeah, I know.
But the way they're playing though, and the funny thing is, I don't like them, so I haven't been watching. But then I'll be watching highlights, and I'm like,
yeah,
that happened with the Chargers. What the
fuck? It could be Saints Chargers in the Super Bowl, for God's sakes. That's
what
crazy.
The hell?
Throwing that out there.
No, who does Drew Brees root for then?
A great point. But this is wearing the two jerseys and shit. But I'm happy for the Raiders. I mean, I think a lot of people were coming after Antonio Pierce last week and that dismal performance they had. So the fact that they were to go on the road and beat Baltimore, this speaks a little bit to the Baltimore's fragile psyche a little bit. I think they put all their eggs in that basket to beat Kansas City. The fact that they couldn't do it, I think, affected them. Maybe they were overlooking the Raiders and they just had to go and do their business. But in the end, this team came back on them. It'd be different if like this was a hard fall back and forth. Well, no, the fact that you had a 10-point lead with 12 minutes left and you allowed this Raiders team to come back on you, I mean, just kind of shocking on so many levels. So there's some coaching Harbaugh's got to do, man. He's got to figure this thing out because this season could get away from them real quick.
I mean, you see them doing the Harbaugh comparison, and they were like, Jim's in here having the time of his life, 2-0. We're top in the league with yards or some shit like that. And then it's like, and John over here, like, what the fuck? Like, thinking, is he going to have to go back to college? Like, just it's a lot going on.
Yeah. And here's the schedule for the Ravens the next 5 weeks. The Cowboys at home. This is next week. Then the Bills. They're at Dallas against the Cowboys next week. Then the Bills at home. Then they're at Cincinnati. Then they play my Commanders. And then at Tampa Bay, who looks good now. So this is going to be an interesting next few weeks for the Ravens to see where they're at by the end of the next 5 or 6 games. I'd be real curious to see what they're going to look like by the time that's over. So we will see. Yeah, but the Raiders, shout out to you all. Let's move on to the Vikings here, man. This was another upset. The Vikings topped the Christian McCaffrey-less 49ers. I'm kind of shocked by that this happened here. Do I have a picture of this one? I don't know if I have a picture for this one, to be honest with you. Where is it? Is that it? No, that's not it. That was the Raiders one. No, that's not it either. Is this the one? There? No, that's not it either. I don't have anything for this guy.
There you go. You just passed it.
Did I pass? Is it this one? No. This one.
Bitch.
There we go. All right.
Slap the taste out your mouth. Is this it? The one where the Cowboys are sad as hell? God damn it.
No, okay. All right. So this one, the Vikings led the 49ers here the whole way. This wasn't like a fluke victory. They were winning the whole game and held on to beat them 23-17. Justin Jefferson hauled in a ridiculous 97-yard touchdown pass.
That was hilarious.
It was mind-blowing, man. It's moved him past the 6,000-yard mark. Jefferson has matched the fastest pace to reach 6,000 career passing yards in NFL history, finished with 133 yards. On the other side, George Kittle got his first touchdown of the season there. But Brock Purdy went 28 of 36 for 319 yards with a touchdown and an interception. Kittle had 76 catches. Deebo Samuel, 110 receiving yards on 8 catches. But in the end, the Vikings, Sam Darnold and the Vikings, I can't believe I'm saying that. Sam Darnold and the Vikings got the victory here. They are now 2-0. Sam Darnold and the Vikings. Is he reborn in Minnesota? Are we going to have to start looking at Sam Darnold differently?
So here's the thing, man. If Sam Darnold has a Geno Smith type like recovery or like renaissance, if you will.
Yeah.
I think that we really need to go take a look at the New York Jets and figure out what nonsense is in the water over there in the new Meadowlands that is affecting both the Giants and the Jets, but specifically that you keep drafting these QBs that actually apparently have some metal and you ruin them. I would say the same thing about the Bears, man, because Caleb Williams looked good, but you were doing things that like all of a sudden made him look bad. You know what I'm saying? Because now Justin Fields is out here balling out of control.
Yeah.
Like there's a number of teams that I'm like, why do they never have a good quarterback? And it's kind of like your organization ruins them.
Yeah.
Carolina somehow didn't ruin Cam, thank God. But like
they're ruining
Carolina doesn't do very good with it. The Bears do awful. The Jets do awful. You all seem to just ruin QBs. So if Sam Darnold, if he continues to play like this, again, this is week 2. I'm not going to sit here and shit all over Derek Carr and say I need to see a large thing and not to the same thing about Darnold. I need to see this on a continuous basis because he's won games before.
Right.
But it never came together as a whole picture. But if he's able to do this, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing that's interesting about the Niners, on the other hand,
let's talk about
you still put up good numbers. Jordan Mason still gave you 100 yards and a touchdown. Debo gave you 110 through the air. You know what I'm saying? With Kittle 76 and a touchdown. But what's interesting is even though Purdy was pretty accurate throughout the day, 28 to 36 is not terrible. You could always do a little better, but it's not terrible at all. It's like very, very good. The throws he missed were kind of key throws. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, if I hit like every little like post up, little layup, whatever I'm doing, but when you need me to hit that one vital mid-range jumper and I miss it, that's not good. You know what I'm saying? That's really not good. And now you've not only lost CMC, you just lost Debo.
Yeah. McCaffrey was now on injured reserve. So he's going to be out, like 4 weeks? I don't know. How long is Debo going to be out today?
If I remember correctly, I think they said 2 to 4. He has a hamstring issue. Hold on. Let's see. Debo Samuel. They say that he's like, it's a calf. So I've heard calf. I've also heard hamstring, but it looks like it's a calf strain. And it's at least a couple weeks.
Yeah. So that's a number of situations. I was watching the Ringers breakdown of this game. It's very interesting to see how they put this thing together because they're saying there was nothing really wrong that the 49ers did. It's more of what they're missing now without McCaffrey, and that's explosive plays. Because Mason hit 100 yards and found the end zone and all that, and he's doing well. But only 6.3% of Mason's carries have gone for 15 plus yards, whereas McCaffrey last season had double that rate when he was playing. And so this is an issue for the running game. And they're saying Brock Purdy's efficiency numbers are down across the board these first 2 weeks of the season. He is negative 0.28 this season when in his dropbacks. That is not a good thing.
It's not good. And then like the main explosiveness from CMC is because he really is like Darren Sproles on crack. He's like the Swiss Army knife. It's not just I'm running it up the middle, I'm running it on the sides. It's that all of a sudden he's doing a wheel route and you're like, wait, what? Or all of a sudden you put him in motion and then he cuts on a slant for you. That's what's terrifying about CMC is that he literally, like Debo, can be anywhere at any time. Right. It becomes very hard because now you got a bunch of mismatches that don't help. Now, Jordan is great, but he reminds me, somebody brought it up the other day, he reminds me of Marion the Barbarian, bro, R.I.P., where he will run that violent, just dread shaking and shit while he's running through your ass, but he doesn't really have hands. If you notice, he was only targeted one time. Because he can't catch the ball like that. So I can already see a world when CMC is back, that two-headed, like, I don't think CMC with him, with Mason running like this is automatically just the workhorse anymore. I genuinely think it becomes a two-headed monster, which is actually scarier because now you're not wearing CMC down. You're letting Mason be the guy to run between the tackles and gang bang on people. And then all of a sudden you got Mason on the field and you got like, you just put CMC in the slot, or all of a sudden Mason coming in at fullback instead with Kyle Juszczyk. Like, how do you say his name? Juszczyk?
Yeah, Juszczyk.
You got both of them plowing forward. Like, that's actually terrifying. But until you can get all your weapons back out there, what they need to do is they need to make sure they don't slip too far, and then you're playing catch up. You know what I mean?
I just wonder if Shanahan's going to be able to adjust the play calling on this thing. But if you look at it, Purdy averaged only nearly 9 yards per throw, but he only attempted one pass over 25 yards the entire game.
But that's always been his issue. And people wanted to, like, we said that last year. They're like, you're just a Purdy hater. And I'm like, no, it's just, he reminds me a lot of Tua in some of these situations where it's like, you have people that are just crazy yak like receivers where they'll catch it on a 5-yard pass from you.
Yeah.
But then Tyreek Hill can burn everybody, or Debo is out here just throwing fades at people. Like that's the difference. And so I don't know. Plus he turned over the ball twice. He lost a fumble, and he threw an interception.
Yeah. So this is going to test Brock Purdy. This is the next few weeks. We're going to see what Brock Purdy is really made of without CMC, without Debo Samuel for a couple weeks. And there might even be more injuries. We don't know. We don't wish that, but you never know. And so how is he going to adapt to that situation? I mean, last year when they didn't have Debo, they were in trouble in a few games there. So will that be an issue?
Well, like a 4-game losing streak, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Against the lost to the Browns and other people that you're like, what? So this will be an interesting situation to monitor as we go along. Let's move on to Baker Mayfield and these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wow, damn, are they looking good? He ran for a TD, threw for a TD, and they beat the Lions on the road in a playoff rematch in Detroit. They beat them 20-16 in this game here. They fell behind only once in the game, and they stopped Detroit twice when Detroit had two chances to take the lead or to drive for a go-ahead touchdown there. And so pretty incredible stuff. Jared Goff, 34 of 55. Yikes, for 307 yards. But he was 1 of 7 in the red zone. That's important. Meanwhile, Baker Mayfield was 12 of 19 for 185 yards, including a fantastic 41-yard touchdown pass to Chris Godwin in the second quarter. He also ran for four times for 35 yards. Chris Godwin had 117 yards. For the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 11 receptions for 119 yards. But, dude, this is fascinating. Now the Bucs, they handled my Commanders last week. They looked really good, but I was like, it's week 1, whatever. They came into Detroit and beat Detroit and the new NFL darling Dan Campbell in their own house. This is kind of shocking, and they expose some of the stuff we've seen with Jared Goff sometimes, that he's not always accurate under pressure, and certainly 1 of 7 in the red zone will let you know that as well. So fantastic victory for Tampa Bay, and we might be looking at this team making some noise in the NFC for real, man.
That was, I think, the big takeaway from last year was that the Browns are crazy. Like, yes. It wasn't Baker.
Organizations that ruin quarterbacks. You just said it.
The funny thing is it feels like it wasn't Odell Beckham and it wasn't Baker. It's that that Cleveland is some weird sort of disease that just affects like superstars, especially the quarterbacks. I don't know what to say, because Baker is out here showing you that he's got the sauce.
Yeah.
And you just go in there and you ruin his confidence. I don't know if it's the overbearing fans, as far as because they've been so devoid of success. There's a lot of pressure to be like, you're going to be the one to fix it. The longer that jersey gets, that curse just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. You know what I'm saying? And I think that wears on you, because now he's down here in Tampa Bay, a team that like Tom Brady was able to take the Super Bowl. You've had obviously some changeover, and there's like a different coach down there and whatnot, but the core clearly still works pretty well. Now, I would chalk up that the Detroit Lions just have a solid defense. Why you didn't see explosive numbers out of Tampa Bay, but they did enough to get the job done. I think what I'm worried about is, Jared Goff's got to be real careful about them turnovers. And oh my God, did my heart stop for a second. I thought Amon-Ra was done.
Oh yeah.
Oof. The way his leg was bent and the way he was screaming and had to, because they didn't have the timeout situation, there'd been a clock run, if he's having to drag himself off the field.
Yeah.
I was terrified, man. And I still am. They say he's avoided a major injury and it's a soft tissue issue, but you never know how those things could like kind of creep back up depending on if you push yourself too hard too quickly.
Yeah. So going to be something to monitor for sure. But I like the Tampa. I'm happy for Baker. Yeah, I wasn't happy that he beat my Commanders last week, but if he's reborn, he stopped doing the commercials. Remember all the way, I've been saying that for years, Winston. You can't do commercials when you're not that good, for God's sake. So you haven't proven anything. It's a bad situation. You rarely see him in commercials. Now the new baby girl is born, or new baby is born. He's hanging out with his lady. He clearly looks happier. So maybe he's reborn here. And it looks like this first-year offensive coordinator who's taken over has figured out how to best use Baker and best use the team's offensive weapons to make them happy. So could be really interesting to see what happens from these Buccaneers in the next few weeks and if they're able to maintain it overall. But the Lions, there's some questions to be asked now. And so we'll see how they respond to that. All right, let's move on to this game here with the Cardinals. The Cardinals handling the Rams. This was a fascinating game to witness. I got to see a few of these highlights, and it was incredible. We got to see Marvin Harrison Jr. Get himself his first 2 NFL touchdown passes from Kyler Murray here, which they used to build a 24-3 halftime lead. He had a 23-yard touchdown and then a 60-yard touchdown catching passes there from Kyler Murray. He threw for 266 yards and 3 touchdowns. This was an absolute wrecking job on these Rams. James Conner ran for 122 yards. And Matt Stafford was sacked 3 times in the first half, couldn't find the end zone. And Cooper Kupp left in the second quarter with an ankle injury. So this is interesting. If the Cardinals have really kind of put it together with Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray, this could be a fun combo to watch. Winston, whether they win games or not, this is going to be an interesting combo to watch going forward.
Did you see all the nonsense of people trying to say that Marvin Harrison was already a bust?
Dumbest thing in the world.
It was hilarious to me. People straight up were like, he looks slow, la la la. And like what he actually said in the interviews, he's like, look, man, I was thinking a lot. Like I genuinely, it was a lot faster than I thought it would be. So I was in my head. So you throw that in with the fact that, like, on top of that, the Bills, I got a chance to check out Dominique Foxworthy's podcast for the first time, which I actually pretty like. But he broke it down and he was like, look, man, look at this coverage. The Bills, for everybody that was saying Marvin Harrison Jr. is already on his way to Canton.
Yeah.
Like that kind of talent, that kind of, like, not only pedigree from his dad, but that talent that he's already displayed, the Bills treated him as such. And every single time he was doubled or even tripled, depending on what the coverage was. So of course a rookie first thing out is going to have a little trouble, especially if things are moving a little too quick. But you saw how fast he finally adjusted to this shit.
Yeah.
And his first 2 catches, I believe, of the game were these ridiculous touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean,
I got terrified, Rocha, because I'm sitting here playing this game and I got a 90% chance to beat this dude, and he still got Harrison, and I want to say Elliott on today, right? Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like, you only have a 20% chance. When I said, bitch, why? And I was like, already has 27 points. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? So,
can I tell you a wager that was in play yesterday in Vegas?
What was it?
For Marvin Harrison Jr., if you bet $50 for him to score 3 touchdowns or more in the game, you would have made $6,500. $6,500 on the bet if you had just bet $50 on that. And he was 1 touchdown away from making that happen.
Is that a bet that you placed, Rocha?
I did not know. I don't bet.
The way you said that made it seem like you were like, I don't give a fuck about his two touchdowns and his 130. You scored me a touchdown, asshole.
I mean, that being said, he was 0 for 3 in the second half. So that's something they have to figure out. Like, what's going on there that he's not?
I think that was an adjustment from the Rams being like, no more.
4 people on him, for God's sakes. But
bro, but I'll tell you, I am really worried about the Rams. That might be a wrap, bro.
I agree.
It sounds like they might be putting Cooper Kupp on IR based off of his ankle. They say the Cooper Kupp isn't going to miss an extended period of time with a left ankle sprain. Coach McVay said on Monday. We heard it before the half. They also said that guard Jonah Jackson, his shoulder, and safety John Johnson, the third shoulder, are also candidates for injury reserve. Jesus, that is a lot. That is 4 starters, 2 of which are the whole of your offense.
Yep.
Gone.
Yeah.
I think the Rams might be a little F. The only thing working in their favor potentially is that if the Niners are this injured too, maybe you don't just end up pulling up the back of the pack.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the Seahawks are 2-0 in their division. Yeah, 2-0. Arizona 1-1, San Francisco 1-1, the Rams 0-2. So, you can still catch up, but I mean, this is.
But it just depends on how bad are you now without your 2 star players.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they look really, and they've got the 49ers next, which could be a real interesting game. Then they play at Chicago. Then they have the Packers, the Raiders, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. So these next few weeks going to be really interesting to see how the Rams come out of this whole thing. But yeah, I mean, Stafford's already, long in he already had 1 foot in his NFL grave, for God's sake. So I don't know how much longer. And if you have less targets, that puts more pressure on the quarterback. And so the O-line now starts to break down. So that we could be looking at Matt Stafford getting knocked down or hurt or sacked in large numbers than he did last year or in the years past. So that could be an issue as well going forward.
Right.
But with Arizona, I don't know what we have. So, I mean, they got handled by the Bills, but they took care of the Rams. So are they figuring things out step by step? I don't know, but I kind of hope they do. Cause as crazy as Kyler is sometimes, I like the way that he plays quarterback. It's it's nuts, but it's exciting. So
it's kind of ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
It literally feels like all out of nowhere. Cause he doesn't necessarily rush it the same way, but as far as just like not getting touched, he reminds me of like the Michael Vick school of like backyard football. Be like, whoop. But also Haskell, don't forget, no, they don't still have Puka because Puka's not on IR, but he's scheduled. He could miss somewhere between 5 and 7 weeks, according to Schefter in his report yesterday. So again, you do not have Puka Nacua and you do not have Cooper Kupp. Next man up, you got to hope. I mean, that's kind of how Puka Nacua got a chance to take office because Kupp was hurt last year. But the odds of them finding a third receiver of that caliber is insane. Like, I don't necessarily think that that's going to be what happens. But so
5 to 7 weeks is what Schefter said. And he said apparently that Paco Nacua was having issues in training camp with injuries as well. So this may just be a bad year all around for Nacua. But you lose Cooper Kupp and Nacua, you got some real tough situations. DeMarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson are who now step up to be the 1 and 2 in this situation, and maybe Jordan Whittington as well for the Rams. But this is going to be real interesting. Matt's going to have to work really hard to get these guys in the right position. We'll see. We'll see. Man. All right, let's look at the rest of the games here. James Cook scored 3 touchdowns to help the Buffalo Bills beat the Dolphins 31-10 on Thursday night, in case you forgot about that game. Deshaun Watson ran for a touchdown as the Browns beat the Jags, and the disappointing Trevor Lawrence here, 18-13. Braylon Allen, NFL's youngest player, scored 2 touchdowns to help the help the Jets and Aaron Rodgers beat the Titans 24-17. Jason Myers hit a 31-yard field goal to lead the Seahawks past the Patriots there in overtime, 23-20. Justin Herbert threw 2 touchdowns here to lead the Chargers as they destroyed Bryce Young and the Panthers, 26-3. Yes, Jaden Daniels, baby, led the Commanders over the Giants here, winning by a field goal at the end. Couldn't score in the red zone except for field goals.
That's
but
a problem. How do you have no touchdowns and win? How dare you?
Bruh, 7 field goals, bruh. It's crazy because our kicker, we just signed him on Tuesday, and he kicked 7 field goals in the game, man. That's nuts. Yeah. Malik Willis led the Packers to a 16-10 victory over the Colts. The Packers are 2-0. It's kind of interesting. Justin Fields won his second straight.
Packers are 2-0.
Yeah, the Steelers.
The Steelers. I was like, no, they're not, because they lost Love and lost. I was like, I am confused.
I jumped one into the other one. Sorry about that. Justin Fields led the Steelers to a 2-0 start here, replacing Russell Wilson. They beat the Broncos 13-6. Sean Payton. A lot of people think he's getting exposed here. You said this last week as well. And C.J. Stroud threw a touchdown pass, and Fireburn kicked 4 field goals to help the Texans top the Bears last night, 19-13. There are some stories to talk about from these games, man. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to hit on?
I mean, are we talking?
Because I got some strong feelings. So you want me just to go? Because I'm going to go.
You can go. Go.
Tua should get the fuck out of the league. Take your $96 million guarantee. Go and hang out with your
even more than that. He would ultimately still, I think, walk away with about 140.
Take that 140. Go be a commentator. Go start a foundation. Go do something that helps with brain research or concussions. Go and do something positive. You'll be able to live off that for the rest of your life and have generational wealth for your family. When I look at this situation, he's got to be done, for God's sakes. Please. When I look at who else was I looking at here in this situation? I think Caleb Williams is already a bust, and no one's going to talk me out of it.
Come on. Are you kidding me?
I watched that game last night. He was missing wide open receivers by miles. He's got happy feet already, which is a real issue. I think he's a bust already. I'll say it.
That's crazy. I strongly disagree with that sentiment. I think that there's a couple of things. First of all, he is a rookie. Rookies are going to do some kind of dumb things. At what point do we go, the Bears are just a trash organization when it comes to quarterbacks? When have they had a good one? And they've had all this talent, and they keep ruining them. Justin Fields is out here doing his damn thing in Pittsburgh. Like, at what point do we just call the actual – there's a common denominator, Rocha. If all of your exes are thriving, not in your life, and you still here in the fucking gutter, at a certain point, they're not all crazy. You're the problem.
That's a fair point. And they're not all thriving. But it's a fair point. I wouldn't say this, though. For all the Bears stuff, they've still gone to Super Bowls and won one. So, I mean, for all the dysfunctional, Cleveland can't even say that.
They won one.
Yeah, they won one.
And it was with the 86 Bears who had the damn Super Bowl shuffle, huh?
85 Bears.
You're right. I'm tired. The 85 Bears, they had the whole damn Super Bowl shuffle because that defense was that good. Like enough to make a damn dance and taunt people with it before social media existed, bro. You didn't have no smartphone to shoot that. They went and hired a damn cameraman, put that shit on TV to be like, y'all can't handle shit.
Yeah, I was a teenager. I remember. That was a weird thing. But he's doing the things he did in college. The happy feet, the running around, the way overthrown receivers. And you're seeing frustration on these Bears receivers' faces when he's missing them.
But my bigger issue is you went and got Keenan Allen, who is incredibly talented, but is one of the most injury-prone players we've seen in the NFL ever, and he was out. You got Roma Dunze, who was supposed to come in and be that immediate element, man, and he was 2 for 5, and a number of them being drop passes and looking like a rookie. You know what I'm saying? There was one of them that he clearly got overthrown, but the other two he dropped. So you gotta throw all that in there when you throw in the fact that the Texans are a good defensive team. They proved that's why they won their division, and ultimately that CJ Stroud is already proven to be a great quarterback. Yeah. So he obviously was. Thank God he was out here just dipping and dunking and Nico Collins. I needed that shit for this one particular league, man. I was like, hell yeah, 135 in a titty. Let's go. So all of that going in, I think it's not fair to put that pressure already on Caleb. I understand he's a number 1 draft pick, but how many number 1 draft picks instantly just become the it? They don't. It's not something that happens. It's not. You have to, especially not at the quarterback position, you have to give them time. Now, they're ultimately, like Andrew Luck, by the time his rookie year was out, was very good.
Yes.
But he wasn't instantly like, I'm here. It's not what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like he needed some time to adjust. Peyton Manning was even worse. Peyton Manning had more interceptions than he had touchdowns his rookie year, but then became Peyton Manning starting his second season. He said, you know what, bitch? Let me just... and then just effed people up. So I think to get 2 weeks, let's not overreact on Williams already, man.
Let me tell you something. The eyes don't lie. The eyes don't lie, Chico. The eyes don't lie. I know what I've seen in 40 years of football. I know when I see a bust, and I know when I don't see a bust.
You already hated the kid.
I think he's a bust.
You already hated the kid. You said as much when we talked about him last year.
What are you talking about? I don't mind the kid.
No. You see, I just saw what you did. We talked about him crying. You're like, you gonna go cry to mommy because you lost the game, bitch.
No.
God, Rocha. But I digress. I want to talk about specifically all of these games, interesting in their own rights, man.
Right. Yeah,
I want to talk about Tua as well. He's got to go, and it's not because you're not talented, man.
No.
I think the biggest thing that was pointed out, and it kind of pissed me off that too many players, mainly Ryan Clark, would be like, I don't like seeing him out there, but I'm not going to tell this kid. I'm not going to tell this word. Like back in the day, we used to call it getting your bell rung. We didn't know no better. We literally had to have Mike Tomlin tell me I couldn't play. I had to beg him, and he wouldn't let me play. That's the only reason I didn't go in there. And I was like, I understand what you're telling me, that what a player mentality may be, but
yeah,
that is a moment where a man who is older and wiser says, so I get it, young gun. That's probably where your head is at.
yeah.
But you running in a not very hard tackle into DeMar Hamlin's bicep, which could have gone so bad. You hit DeMar Hamlin's chest with your head, and your head. We could have literally watched like a double KO, which is terrifying to think. And that was the fear. Let alone, I'm sure Hamlin. You had the player that he ended up tackling have his own level of just completely falling apart because he was the one that caused Hamlin to die on the field. You saw Hamlin didn't even really try and tackle him because he himself was kind of afraid, not for himself, but for Tua. And Tua barely grazed his head into his chest and was out, bro. Like, I do not, in my lifetime, want to see 2 NFL players die on the field. We are so grateful that Hamlin was able to come back to life because he was dead for a while there. He was gone, and they found a way to resuscitate him and then obviously bring him back to, to the point that he can play football again. I'm genuinely concerned that if this continues, you're going to end up in a situation where we might see Tua go, and I don't want to see it because the whole thing, they were like, oh, last year he did jujitsu and he learned how to fall and blah, blah, blah. So he finally was like, back and didn't have any concussions last year. But then you're week 2 in and you're back in the situation. And my guy has a 2-year-old and just had another kid. You don't want to be there for your kids. You don't want to be there for your grandkids. Because like this much damage already, they have said is permanent damage. Like he is going to feel this sooner than later. By having this many concussions, because that didn't even include the one he had in college. And even they keep saying that he's only had 3 in the NFL, but we all agree it was clear that he shouldn't have been cleared after that Bills game. He's had 4. For being real, he's had 4. So now you're at 5 concussions in the last 6 years. It's crazy.
But this is on him too, brother.
He has to go down.
You have to go down. Why are you throwing your head into an NFL? And look at that. Why are you throwing your head into his chest? Why aren't you sliding? Why aren't you just jumping with the ball forward? Why are you inviting the contact with your history of concussions? It's just such a dumb thing for Tua to do. So you're like, oh, he's been training in jiu-jitsu, all of this stuff and whatever. But it is such a dumb thing to do this. And so in a way, I'm not saying he deserves it, right? But he brought it on himself by falling in that way. And I think that's the frustrating part of this all is what's it going to take for you to figure out how to fall or how to not put yourself in these positions? Because, man, when that arm went up, that was scary, dude. I have seen that happen on a field, and it is scary when the arm goes up. You're like, oh, my God, that's a legitimate thing.
Let alone, man, I think the other thing that upsets me about this whole situation is knowing that you've had as many concussions as you have. And knowing that it is now legal by the rules to use the guardian cap. Why the fuck aren't you wearing one of those?
Yeah, good point.
I understand it will not solve all the problems. I understand that it looks goofy as hell. Why is your concussion-prone ass not wearing a goddamn guardian cap? Because now what you're telling me is you're not doing everything possible to protect yourself, which then makes me even more of a mindset of you really shouldn't necessarily be playing this game anymore. And it's not because you do not have the talent to play starting. You got paid all that money because you do. But your health is so seriously at risk, and I get it. Every time a football player goes out, you are risking that bodily harm for the fame and the glory. You're warriors, you're gladiators, you're doing it. But this is a point where I'm like, you just need to be smarter here. Don't be doing that. If you look at all the other quarterbacks, they're sliding. Look at all of them knowing when it's time to do that and when it's not. Only time you really see people going head first like that is if you're doing a tush push type situation. You're not doing that to get extra. You are not the big, strong running back that can then do that shit, bro.
Right. And that's the problem. I think Tua has a belief in himself to put himself in these positions, and it's so frustrating because you're just like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You don't have to keep trying to prove your manhood in these certain moments, and those are the moments that blow up in your face. But what's frustrating to me is that the Dolphins won't take the decision out of his hands. Why not put him on injured reserve? Why are you still keeping him around with the possibility? They announced that today. They will not be putting Tua on injured reserve, at least not until more information becomes available. Just put him on injured reserve for 4 weeks. What are you fucking doing? Like, I just have to ask questions of the organization. And to be honest with you, all these people who came out on, oh, Mike McDaniel, the way he talks about him, the way, he says, he's got to do his best for his family. He really cares about who. You can tell he cares. He kissed him on his head. You want to kiss him on his head? Put him on IR. That's really kissing him on his head, giving him 4 weeks to straighten things out in his mind and whatever and go forward. Now, if they're not putting him on IR because they're going to make a decision about his contract and about him walking away and they're working that out, okay, that's totally fine. I get that. I don't know what the NFL rules are with contracts and IR and all of that shit. But like, if you think he's still going to play at some point this season and you're not putting him in IR to force him to sit for 4 weeks, fuck you. Like, I think you don't care about the guy because this is madness. I don't care how many times you kiss his head or talk about his wife or his family. It's nonsense that you're letting him be possibly out there again in 2 weeks or something if he clears protocol. Nonsense.
It feels very win, baby, win type. I know that's the Raiders motto, but that's what that feels like. Yo, he's tough, man. Like, that's a man. Like, blah, blah, blah. But if I agree, if this is they're working something out for his early retirement or something like that, that's one thing. But if they're not, it genuinely feels like it's week 2. We still have the whole way to like do the damn thing. We're 1-1. Like, we can do this. I just, man, fuck. At what cost though? That's like, are you like? I hope when this is all said and done, that everybody involved, however this ends, whether like we pray that it is years, decades from now.
Yeah.
But I hope that everybody is able to look themselves in the mirror years down the line and be like, you know what? We genuinely made the right decision that's best for Tua, including Tua himself.
Right.
I genuinely hope he doesn't wake up one day and he's just crying to himself because he put himself through this and now life is miserable. I don't want that for him. That's what's scary. And I know how violent this game is. I understand that is what this is built on, but I just
you don't see it when you're young. You don't. You think you're indestructible. But look at all the old NFL guys, man. Watch them hobbling around. Watch the documentary on Junior Seau. Watch what happens to these guys who take too many hits to the head. And like right now, McDaniel said, oh yeah, he's out for this week. What? Like, he's out, should be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. What are you doing? And he says this stuff that I think is just so fucking stupid. I'll let Tua be the champion of his own career and speak on that. What is that? What is that? It's so ridiculous to say nonsense like that.
I wouldn't be surprised though, because Rocha, the one thing you got to remember, and it really just depends on when and how people are saying these things. He could have very easily been given a script by PR. He could have very easily been told, this is how you need to discuss the situation. Because if they are trying to figure out behind the scenes what's going on, it's very much just be quiet.
Yeah.
Be quiet. And the answer is Tua has to make his decision on what he wants to do with his life. Like that, you know what I'm saying? There's a certain level of that. Now, mind you, again, it also might be, even though McDaniel has proven that he is a good coach.
Yeah.
There is probably a level of, if he doesn't like produce, if all of a sudden they take a massive step back because Tua is gone, he might even be scared about his own job, but for me, I understand that Tomlin has like a little bit more leeway to say that to Ryan Clark at the time because they had already won the Super Bowl once before, things like that. I can understand that's like, I got more clout to tell you, no, I'm sitting you down.
Right.
But I think that would speak so much to McDaniel to not necessarily, you're not going to put the I'm retiring you out there. That's not his place to say, I don't think.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
But he should at the very least be like, for the sake of my player, my brother in arms, I am going to say that regardless if he passes this protocol, until we really know that he's good and we have a full game plan of how we're going, I am benching him for the indeterminate future. And we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we know that he's healthy, he really wants to keep doing this, and we have contingency plans in place just in case. But as the leader of this team, I am going to set him aside for now. And it's up to us to be the next men up, that next quarterback and this whole team rally behind the next man up, that we go get these wins, and that if Tua is ready to come back, that he has a place to do that and we're ready to do that. That to me would have been dope. But I can understand if nobody knows how the PR firms and them owners work, bro. They could have been like, you better shut your mouth if you want your job, you know?
It could be possible. Yeah, absolutely in that situation. And maybe he's saying we're going to let Tua make the decision. And then if Tua says, no, I want to come back, then they'll be like, we don't think you should come back. And then that's a different conversation. They might be letting it up because they want Tua to make the right decision and take the decision out of their hands. So the fans, some of the more, aggressive, moronic fans aren't like, well, why'd you get rid of Tua? He's too, you paying him millions of dollars. This is his job. But so you want to avoid that. So maybe they're playing the PR game here and let Tua make the decision. And like you said, and like we said, maybe they're making the conversation behind the scenes. Mike is saying all the things he's supposed to say out front as the head coach, but behind the scenes, they're having really honest conversations with him about, look, here's the deal. Let's wrap this up, blah, blah, blah. Because the last thing Miami needs is another eyesore after the Tyreek Hill incident. And so that's the last thing the Dolphins need is another mistake with one of their players. So, so I think that's the situation there. Let's talk about the Carolina situation real quick as we wrap up, and any Streamlabs or any Streamlab questions you guys sent, we'll answer after this. The Panthers have benched Bryce Young. This happened this morning. They are now going to start Andy Dalton versus the Raiders, and they have benched him for the foreseeable future. This is his second year here in the league. He becomes the first quarterback selected number 1 in the common draft era to be benched for non-injury seasons in his second season. He has looked terrible over the first 2 games, man. Is he a bust already? What's the situation here? Is this a Carolina situation, or is this Bryce Young not being able to play the game at this level?
I think there's 2 things. I think one, that there has always been a concern about him being that short. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule. Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, but they clearly have proven that they were exceptional. You know what I'm saying? So it's not to say that Bryce couldn't be, but I will tell you the one thing that the message this sends, and that is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You have already told Bryce Young, you ain't got the sauce. You just rocked this kid's confidence now.
By sitting him now.
By sitting him.
Yep.
That's crazy. Let alone from the standpoint of, if you're putting in Andy Dalton and the idea is because you're like, hey, we're trying to stem the bleeding and hopefully win some games, you're then also putting yourself in a situation where you're not about to get a good pick. Then if all of a sudden he starts winning all these games for you and you really don't believe in Bryce Young anymore, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I just think that it's kind of crazy to genuinely be like, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Week 2, bro, give him at least half a season. That's a season and a half to see if he can improve. And I know he's played bad, but damn, can you imagine, Rocha? You've been working your whole life to get to this point. You're the number 1 draft pick and what you're doing and shit like that. And your team abandons you that quickly.
Yeah.
As a number 1 pick, I think he'll get another opportunity somewhere.
Yeah.
A pick like that, you're gonna get another shot, but fuck, would that mess with me the rest of my career?
Yeah. I've only been a 4th round pick, so I don't know what it's like.
I'm glad you can laugh about that now. I'm glad you could laugh about that because I did make that joke. About the getting questions over on the big thing or whatever, man. That was funny about being like, oh, now Rocha potentially pulling up 4th place. But yeah, no,
what a day that
bums
was.
me out, man.
I know. I agree. I liked Bryce in college, and it's a shame to see him struggling here. I mean, listen, and look, we're focusing on Caleb, we're focusing on Bryce, but Bo Nix didn't look good. He's not a 1st round pick, but he didn't look that, or first overall pick, but he didn't look that. He hasn't looked good in 2 weeks for the Broncos. So there's issues there. I think Jaden has looked good for us. He looked better yesterday than he did in the Buccaneers game, but I like it. He's moving the ball down the field. We got to figure out the red zone issues. I think that's more play calling than him.
Number 2 overall.
Yeah, number 2 overall. So, and I like the way he's playing the game. He's confident. He's strong. He's laughing. He's having a good time. He does run it, which I'm okay with because he's learned how to slide. But he did take 1 strong hit yesterday, and it's like, bitch, what did we tell you?
Oh, I know. Because when I tell you, Rocha, I was having a panic attack because I was like, whoo, on Thursday. I was like, man, that's sad about Tua, but thank God my gut said bench him this week, man. Like against the Bills, it's a rough game. Jaden's playing the Giants. The Giants are garbage. Like, that's an easy dub. Let me throw Jaden in. And then Jaden gets in there like, oh no, he's not getting up. I said, I ain't got no quarterbacks. I went from 2 quarterbacks to no quarterbacks. And what I almost lost it, bro.
You
almost lost it. So
I had shades of RG3 all over again, and I was screaming inside my head. I was so mad.
Look, man, I hope he learns from what he goes and watch tape from Lamar, because remember, that was the thing they kept saying about Lamar. The difference was Lamar was bigger than Jaden, so he can take some of those. Ain't nobody as big as Cam. That's why Cam did it as much as he did and would run through people, because he is a monster. But like, I hope Jaden understands and starts to play a little bit more like Patrick Mahomes. So you're in that pocket, and then don't let me F around and run on your ass. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe you draw a few packages, because they don't really draw packages for Patty to run, because that's not his main MO. He's just quick.
Right.
But he has the Vic kind of speed, the Cam kind of speed, that it's like, play like Patty most of the time and give him an occasional flash of Vic. You know what I'm saying? That would be the thing that would be really good for Jaden. I shouldn't say this out loud because I don't need y'all to be better than us, but you know.
Yeah, but 23 of 29 for 226 yards. That's a good stat line for a second game in the NFL ever. I would have loved to have seen a couple of touchdowns, but hey, look, we got Brian Robinson, 133 yards rushing. We're figuring out. He's got to find a way to work Terry McLaurin into the offense, because right now we don't really have a number one receiver, because he's not catching like a number one receiver. So we need to figure that out. He's spreading the wealth, which I think is great. Like 3, 6, 8 receivers caught balls in that game. That's pretty fantastic to have that situation, but you need to have that one person that can show up and get you a 150, 160 yard game with 2 touchdowns. He's got to figure out the McLaurin situation soon. So hopefully, as these players come along, it starts spreading the offense a bit more, and Kingsbury can really put that spread offense into play, and it'll be a lot of fun to see what we become.
I can't believe your ass out here saying Caleb Williams is already a bust. What is wrong with you? You just want to you're just doing anything you can to get these numbers up. I can't with you, bro. I can't with you.
I think Bryce Young's a bust too. They're both busts in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see.
I stand by.
Yeah,
the height thing is an issue, but I make the argument that he's more of a potential bust because of where he went. I think Carolina is just their line is terrible. You gave your star receiver for his first year was like, how old is Thielen? 34.
Adam Thielen.
34-year-old Adam Thielen is your number one receiver your rookie year.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You let DJ Moore go.
Yeah,
you let DJ Moore go, which allowed them to also go get Caleb a little bit later, so that you get out of your mind.
But listen,
out of your mind.
Those two still have time. You know who's running out of time? Trevor Lawrence, and that's. I mean, listen. Let's be fair. Trevor, there are issues going on there in Jacksonville. It looks like that one season they got in the playoffs was a fluke season, because they have not looked good the last 2 years. They're starting out badly this year. And I don't know. There's questions to be asked about these Jaguars, Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. It's there. You got to start asking these questions, man, because he does not look good out there, bro.
He does not. He does not look good.
Yeah.
But that's another organization that somehow they always find a way to ruin quarterbacks.
No, that's not true. Mark Brunell was fantastic. What's his face? Oh God. Number 9, David. Shit. What was his name? Gerard was incredible for a few years. I mean, come on.
Okay, and Jay Cutler was incredible for a few years. Cool. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. All right. So was Mark Sanchez before the butt fumble. Like, what are we going on about? I'm not talking about I'm talking about what your law of averages are. And your law of averages with Jacksonville quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, it's not working out very well. Gardner Minshew, it's not really working out very well, and that's why he got shipped off and he's playing. Where is he again? You were talking about Vegas? He's in Vegas?
Vegas, yeah, they got the victory against them. Yeah.
Who was the one before that? There was a big deal that came in there. Blake Bortles. Where Blake Bortles at?
They went to an AFC championship. Blake Bortles, I think, is a backup for Brock Purdy on the 49ers now.
So I rest my case, bro. Like, you want to talk about 2 random dudes that did pretty decently, but didn't turn a chip into it, never won an MVP, wasn't in the conversation for it, and that's what you want to rest your hat on? Come on, man.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Blake Bortles retired, bro, 2 years ago. I think it's Blaine.
Come on, man.
Blaine Gabbert, who's on. Oh no, Gabbert's on the Chiefs now. Was on the Chiefs, but he was at Tampa Bay. Yeah, so that's
what I'm saying. Like you're
Byron
Jackson.
Leftwich. You're saying Byron Leftwich wasn't good? I thought Byron Leftwich was good for a little bit.
Byron Leftwich come anywhere close to an MVP or an All-Pro season?
I don't think so. No.
Did he ever lead the league in like yards, touchdowns, anything like that?
That's a good question. You put me on the spot. I don't have the David Garrard.
Which is fair, but you just when you're mentioning stuff like that, I like, for example, someone would be like, Tony Romo was trash. I was like, Tony Romo was second in MVP voting at one point. If you look at his overall win record, was actually pretty ridiculous. He had more fourth quarter and overtime comebacks than Tom fucking Brady. He was number one in the league, and that's mainly because our defenses were so bad. If we were going to win, Tony had to always make something magical happen, but people loved watching him fall apart so damn much. The narrative that gets thrown around is that he was some random scrub and he wasn't very good. But I can turn around and say, no, that was actually same thing with Dak. He's actually a good quarterback, but again,
a good quarterback.
And so is Prescott. But it's again, our organization is such a dumpster fire in the way they just operate. It's not that we have bad quarterbacks. It's that overall we don't hire good coaches, and our defense, which always looks good, doesn't do what it needs to do in the moments where we need them the most. That is Dallas's problem, right? So I'm saying Jacksonville, Cleveland, and Chicago have a tendency to ruin quarterbacks. And the Jets, all four of them, y'all ruin quarterbacks.
Jets for sure. I won't give you Jacksonville. I can't. Garrard was in the Pro Bowl. I can't give you Jacksonville.
Okay, and you know how many people got the Pro Bowl just because they were like, "Well, I'm going to the Super Bowl. I don't want to go." Like, shut up. If you're not skipping it all pro, I don't want to hear it. How many times you go to the Pro Bowl? If he went more than once, I'll give it to you. If he went one time, shut up, Rocha. Everybody gets to go to Disneyland one time in their life.
Wait, when did Byron Leftwich win a Super Bowl? What's Super Bowl?
Byron Leftwich won a Super Bowl?
When did he win a Super Bowl? I need to know when he won a Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm looking at him. He was offensive player of the year. Oh, no, that was for the MAC. So not even in the NFL. Not even in the NFL. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Get out of here.
I don't know.
Get out of here, bro. Get out of here.
Super Bowl. Maybe with the Steelers as a backup. No, I don't know when he won it.
It was Super Bowl 18.
Against the Raiders? Was it Tampa? Was it that?
Let's see. Hold on. That would have been the Packers defeated the Chiefs in Super Bowl 1. No, that can't be it.
One? That's
no, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I just said it's not it. Shut up. Shut your mouth, Rocha. You shut it. Shut the hell
up. Black people weren't quarterbacks back then.
What was this? It was the one over the Cardinals. He won with the Steelers.
Okay. So he was the Steelers. Okay, he was the backup. That's right. He was a backup. That's right.
Backup.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's the backup.
So yeah.
Oh Jesus! Jesus!
Oh my God! Super Bowl. Oh my God!
Hey, it's a Super Bowl 1. Oh shit! That's not what I meant. I just clicked the word Super Bowl. You know how Wikipedia works. Damn! I went
Gave that black man a football. Oh, hilarious, man! All right, let's hit these Streamlabs because we got to go. I know we're running out of time. Fantastic says, hey, game time. Loving the show. My Cowboys went back-to-back choke jobs in 2023 and 2024 when they proved they can't stop the run for shit. Currently looking for a number 2 team to root for. Does St. Louis still have a team? Thanks, guys.
I mean, yeah, they moved to LA and they don't have any receivers. So by all means, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like you should jump on the Tampa Bay bandwagon. Well, no, you got to go to the other side, right? You got to go to the other conference.
So wait, he said, what's his team?
Dallas is his team.
Oh, he's a Cowboys fan. All right, if you're going to do it, I mean, let's see. Who's fun? Oh, you could go for Indianapolis or for Houston. Both teams are fun to watch. Both young quarterbacks that are actually doing the damn thing. I feel like that's great. I mean, if you just want to be a bandwagoner, you could choose the Chiefs. The Bengals, to me, honestly, always figure it out one way or the other. The Steelers, as much as I hate them, tend to be pretty consistent and almost always are in the playoffs. Those are all solid options. So
yeah. You could even go Ravens if you want to be disappointed by potential, as the Cowboys usually are. Just saying.
Ouch.
Haskell says, hi, guys. Hi, Haskell, I'm done with the overreaction the first few weeks of the season. Most teams are still finding their footing and getting into game shape. We may get frustrated. They may start out with wins and losses, but by week 5 to 6, the proverbial worry meter starts. This is Haskell trying to talk himself into the Jets being okay with Aaron Rodgers.
No. They're 1-1, but I actually agree with him. What kind of overreaction is it to just be like, oh, it's over? Like, the only way that's the case is if you lose a star. That is if like, knock on wood, if Patrick Mahomes were to happen, would have happened to him, say, this game, and he was out, I would say the Chiefs have no chance in hell. Like that's a wrap on your season. If you're like Patrick Mahomes has a season-ending, and again, knock on wood, I'm not wishing that on anybody.
Right.
Again, I like the kid, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. It is stupid to make these generalizations unless you're talking about a crazy season-ending injury to a major key player.
I guess. I still think Will Levis is trash. So good luck with that. If you call it overreaction, feel free. Josh Lawrence says, my Steelers are frustrating, guys. Tomlin knows how to win close games, but his offenses are scary bad with only 1 TD in 2 games. I agree, brother. People talking Justin Fields like he's throwing for 300 yards. He is game managing the fuck out of that offense.
And sometimes all you need is a game manager. Rocha. You know what? Rocha, you know how many Schmoedown games I won personally? Not many. You know how I won a lot of them? Multiple choice, bitch. Yes, come on now. And then when I had my 2-pointer, I said, no, I know that one. Give me that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta understand what you're dealing with. And that was the thing. It just, if you don't need Justin Fields to go be that guy, because at the end of the day, Russell Wilson wasn't really that guy either. You had the Legion of Boom, and then he would kind of game manage, and then make a big play when you need him to.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, is that if he can do that, if he can not screw up and then give him a big play when it needs to happen, awesome. You're doing exactly what this team is asking for.
Yeah, I guess so. You are. Yeah, for sure. But the competition's going to get tighter in the next few weeks, and we'll see what Justin's really made of. Codeman says, let's go Chargers. Can't wait to see what we do this season. I'm hoping when I see the Chargers beat the Steelers and the Chiefs to go 4-0. Listen, I am on the train with the Chargers. I am on the train with a Harbaugh-led Chargers team. They look like they've got grit. J.K. Dobbins is running like crazy. Herbert is throwing consistently, having good games. The defense is stepping up. So I like the Chargers right now as kind of a, what can I say? Kind of a dark horse candidate to be in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs.
You know who they remind me of, right?
Oh boy, here we go. Yes.
I didn't even say anything. You don't even know what I'm gonna say.
I see your setup. I see your setup coming a while away. Go ahead. Yes. Who do they remind you?
So no, go ahead. Tell me what I was gonna say then. If you know so damn much.
I would never dare to speak for a black man in today's
society. I am giving you permission to do so. I would like you proud Latin man. I would like for you to speak for me in this moment. What was I gonna say, Rocha?
It's a trap. I'm not saying anything.
It's a serious question. I would like for you to go ahead and tell me what I was going to say.
They remind you of the Texans from last year. Yeah, kind of putting it all together. No, what were you going to say?
They remind me of the Clippers when they had Blake Griffin, and then they went and got Chris Paul, and they went and got
Doc Rivers.
What's his name?
Patrick Beverly.
Doc Rivers. You were right. Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers. Yeah.
So that to me is more what they look like. Is they look like when the Clippers realize we actually have a superstar talent.
Yeah.
People are coming in because Justin Herbert is very good, but he's been playing terrible because the coaching he's had has been awful.
Oh, I agree.
So you went and got a good coach that has proven he can get to a championship and even win. I mean, he won it in college, but he can get you to championship games, potentially win championship games, and let him come in and just revamp everything. The only reason I would make the argument that the Clippers really never truly broke that curse, Donald Sterling kind of really effed with their heads and that chemistry pretty bad, man.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever recovered from that. And so if no drama comes out from the Chargers whatsoever and they're just allowed to ball out, great. I think the only thing that I'm saying as far as like take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, the Raiders are okay right now, but they did not prove to be good. And the Panthers are dog shit awful. So if you go and win against the Steelers, which again, they're not a great team, but they're consistently a problem, and especially with TJ Watt rushing down your throat, And then you go play the Chiefs, which again, we know they have injury issues right now, but they're still the 2-time defending champions. If you go win those games, now we're having a conversation about like, oh shit, here go the Chargers, bro.
Put this in the bank. I think they're going to go 10-0 before they play the Ravens.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I think. The Chargers will go 10-0.
So they beat the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Saints, the Browns,
the
Titans, and the Bengals.
Yeah. And then it's Harbaugh versus Harbaugh.
You were out of your mind.
In LA.
I believe you were out of your mind.
If they're not drive up for this, Matt. You
want to make a bet?
I don't bet money, man. You know me. I don't do that.
I didn't say we had to bet money. What you want to bet? Like you want to do like Steven? You want to do like Skip Bayless and bet you some Diet Mountain Dew? What you want?
I'll bet you a soft pretzel.
A soft pretzel. You feel that confident that they're going to win the next 8 games?
I'll even go to a pretzel bites. I'll even go to pretzel, which are more expensive than the soft pretzel. So I would say pretzel bites.
Are out of your mind
with the cheese. That's at least $15. So yeah, there you go.
All right,
I think we can go 10-0.
Look. If I win,
yeah,
I'll take cinnamon sugar pretzel bites. But if you win,
done.
But if you win, I will give you $20. I feel so confident. Like you don't have to bet money. I said I would give you. You just want the pretzel. Fine.
I just want the Wetzels. I love Wetzels. I mean, I just think they've got the potential, and I like Harbaugh as a coach. I've always liked him as an NFL coach, so I think he's got real potential. And if the team has the right mindset with Dobbins running like crazy, okay, I'll say this: barring injury, they go 10-0. That's what I'll say. Barring injury to Dobbins,
can't do that because Herbert just had his leg X-rayed. You can't do that. That's part of football.
All right,
so, like, if you said, I think they're not losing
barring
the next 8 games.
8 games, yeah.
You said that.
Yeah. They might even beat the Ravens. We'll see. That's what I just believe in the Chargers so much. I can't explain it. All right. I'm Two Flying Cam says, happy game time is back. Even happier to see the Cowgirls getting blown out at home. Oof. Garbage Washington can't even beat Daniel Jones. We did beat Daniel Jones. What the fuck? We got the W. Rough week, fellas. Go Seahawks, top of our division, baby. Also, did you see what Pixar execs say about gay representation? I did not. And nor is this the show to have that conversation. So, but what do you mean we can't get beat? We can't beat Daniel. We did win. I am Two Fly Cam. Did he get head and head with a brick? Does he not remember?
What? Who? Wait. What? Read it again.
Happy game time is back. Even happier to see the Cowgirls getting blown out at home. Garbage Washington can't even beat Daniel Jones. LOL. We did beat
you just did. I think.
Yeah.
I'm real confused.
Yeah. He said.
I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, he said, "Go Seahawks, top of our division." There you go. And then
I am so lost right now.
Yeah, I am Two Fly Cam, brother. I think you're getting high on your own supply, brother, man. All right. Haskell says, I'm in maybe the biggest or one of the biggest survivor pools in the country. It's $25 per entry, and you can enter more than once. Last year, the pool was worth $600,000. This year, it's worth $754,000. 33,295 people joined this thing 2 weeks into the season, and 22,000 of the 33,000 have been knocked out. And I'm still in it. Let's fucking go. All right, Haskell. Well, I'll tell you this. If you win, Haskell, you better send in some money. I'll tell you this right now. Send in at least $100,000 of that big pool.
What did we do to deserve that? Wait a minute, Rocha. You don't bet no money, but you gonna let somebody else bet they motherfucking money, and then if they win it, they can give you some? What is wrong with you?
I will gladly give him half of the $25 in exchange for.
You just said you didn't want it. You said you wanted a pretzel.
No, that was you.
No. I offered. You said, I just want a pretzel. Pretzels is my favorite. Now I understand why Chris should be like, yo, Rocha just be talking out his ass with these bets, man. Because like, I was here 2 minutes ago when this all went down. I will go and open up YouTube and say, roll the tape and let it replay on the share. I'm not doing this with you.
That's fair. But I'm not. I'm betting the Chargers thing. But with all of this, because I'm not sending $100K, so YouTube and Google gets $50K. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. You can cash at me. That's
actually a really good. Well, first of all, you don't want to do that because then they will tax the shit out of you, Rocha. Second of all, I gotta say, I gotta give Haskell credit, man. That's definitely an easy out to be like, I would give you 100K Rocha, but Google,
man. It's not my fault. Dude, this is break. I know we got to go, but real quick, I know this isn't sports. Sean Combs has been arrested in Manhattan after a grand jury indictment, bro. This just happened. Oof. All right. There you go. Put that
on. Lordy Jesus.
Right. Put that on the table. All right. Are we Rocha's the kind of guy who leaves a winning ticket to a lottery as the tip, and when he realizes goes back and sues the waiter for the no. I would never do that. I would never. I like that movie. I like that movie. All right, there you go. That's the end of it. We got to get out of here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us, especially during the game. I think it's 9-7 right now. The Falcons are ahead. Or 10 to it's actually 10-9 now. The Eagles are ahead. So nice barn burner between these two teams. But thank you all so much for hanging out. We appreciate it. Thanks for the lively chat, the Streamlabs. So much love for you guys for doing this. Winston, where can they find you and what you got going on, brother man? Please.
You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred here on YouTube and on all platforms, man. I got my new Blurred breakdown dropping tomorrow at about noon. I'll be at work, so as soon as we wrap up here, I'm going to go eat a quick dinner and then record that for y'all. Other than that, Capes and Cows is now live on Friday, so that's 10 to 12 Pacific time every Friday. So definitely come through and say what's up over there. Obviously, this and Spill the Tequila, do that as well. And that's it for right now. Yeah.
It sounds like we just got our headline for Spill the Tequila at some point this week. So there we go. Hey. Come through. Thank you so much, everyone. You guys are the best. At The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. You can also find me at my Outlaw Nation channel there, youtube.com/John Rocha Says, and subscribe to the stuff I got going on over there. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Enjoy this week, and then we'll see you next week with another brand new episode of Game Time. Peace until then.